Today we're at the Canadian Vintage Motorcycle Group's annual rally, and already we've seen a wonderful array of vintage machines, beautifully restored, and let's go and see exactly what they have to show. I'm here with Doug, looking at the display of motorcycles, and I see right here, Doug, we have a BSA Bantam, and that's a D3?
It is so.
There's many of these around the world today, and how does this one run?
This one runs pretty good. It hasn't, this is the first time I've had it out in 3 years, but it runs beautifully, and it's a fun bike to ride. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They're light and they handle well.
The only thing I do remember, there's a bit of a quirk with them, is that, if you rode them for any extended time, they tended to seize up on you, and then you have to wait. In my days when I used to smoke, I don't smoke anymore, but when I used to, it was one cigarette and I could ride away again on it.
That's right, yeah. Now, it's still pretty much a one cigarette break.
Great G9 matchless. What year is this one, Bob?
51.
Well, I've done a really nice job. I mean, it's immaculate. And when I was a kid growing up, it was one of the bikes that we all envied that we'd love to ride.
You're absolutely right. And I wanted to ride one, but I never owned one, so I bought one after I retired.
There's a definite ritual for starting a big single like a Gold Star.
Put it in neutral, yeah. Ignition slightly retarded. Decompression lever is the trigger on the other side. Just goes down an inch.
This is a Nera car, 1922. So Ed, how long have you had this particular model?
Oh, right about 10 years.
So now you're going to start it up for us so we can see what a Nera car sounds like.
And it should go first kick.
So the Nera car was pretty near to a motorcycle. Is that what it is? A near to a car?
Near to a car, yeah, built like a car.
So it was trying to appeal to maybe the less fortunate who couldn't own a car back in those days, right?
Yeah.
It was a cheap Nera car transportation.
And lady riders.
So you make sure you get out of the way of a Nera car when you heard that coming down the road. This machine here is reputed to be the machine that killed the British motorcycle industry. This is a 450 Hellcat, extremely reliable machine. Went bloody quickly, would do 100 miles an hour, no problem, and carry 2 people. And it didn't leak oil. And in England, when I was a young motorcyclist growing up, we used to call this the 750 Slayer.
It's a 1953 500 single. It's called a VHA, and they made this for 1 year in the blue for the coronation of the Queen.
How did you come by the bike?
I actually bought it in Frankfurt, Ontario in 1977. It was in the local shoppers market for $65.
This is early motorcycle lighting. This is an acetylene lighting system. And the trouble with them was that more often than not, just when you needed the light the most, they would disappear on you, especially if you ran out of acetylene. And my dad told me many a story of riding down through the country roads in the back of England with his old Nortons and with an acetylene light system on there, and all of a sudden, absolute darkness.
The Paris Rally is in its 35th year of operation and is run by the Canadian Vintage Motorcycle Group, formed in 1967 by 13 vintage bike enthusiasts in Mississauga, Ontario. The group now has over 1,700 members across Canada and owns over 5,000 motorcycles covering some 200 different makes. Vada Seeds is the rally chair.
Canada has 100 years history of motorcycling, and it isn't recognized hardly anywhere. And that's the purpose of the club, to preserve those motorcycles and the history of motorcycling, as well as all kinds of regalia, any type of posters, magazines, anything. It's not just motorcycles, and it's the people who rode motorcycles too that we'd like to preserve that history.
You've done a heck of a job with this, was it a 73 Bonneville, 750?
Right. It's built out of abandoned bike parts. So I call it bits up because it's made out of bits and pieces from different bikes.
Ron, would you like to tell us a little bit about the Black Shadow that you have here today?
Well, it's a 51. It's been totally restored. I've had it since 2004, and I regularly ride it. And it's a dream bike for me.
I remember as a young guy going down the highway on my Triumph, thinking I was going pretty fast, doing about 95 mile an hour, when an elderly gentleman went by me on one of these, doing about 120 with his deerstalker hat and
With no effort.
with no effort, and his great big thundering sound and his big V twin, and it just totally deflated me.
Like I said, it was a dream bike for me since I was about 12 years old, and finally got a chance to acquire one.
I think you and every young guy that was interested in motorcycles.
This is a unique bike.
The name Chicago, where did that come from? For a bike?
Because Mr. Kozlov is from Chicago.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This is a flathead Harley
Okay.
engine.
What year was that again, Richard?
34.
34. Basically, this is souped up for its time, then, Richard.
Yeah,
the
it's
engine is
souped
a
up,
souped
yeah,
up version
yeah.
for its time, right?
Right.
So, and how many of these particular motorcycles were made?
That's the only one I know, and it should be 3.
There should have been 3, but
Yeah.
this is the only one that you know of that's still
Yeah.
in existence.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? This has been a great day at the Canadian Vintage Motorcycle Rally, and to top it off, here we have a 1918 Indian board racer in wonderful condition, and it looks like it'll do 100 mile an hour. Apparently it'll do 80 or 90. A befitting bike to take a look at the end of our day.